I want to give you this simple step. And I want you to realize this. You have to realize that patience is really a question of trust. When we think about this word patience, and if we're being honest, in our world right now, it's so hard to be patient when there's things that we need. But patience is really a question of trust. And so when you look at this word patience and you look at God, you realize that even for Martha and Mary, they did not trust that Jesus knew what he was doing. And let's be honest, if you asked for something and you didn't get what you asked, how could God be trusted? How could you trust him? How could he truly deserve your trust? And it's realizing this, that trusting in God is not believing that you are going to get everything that you want. That's a hard statement to swallow. That to trust is to realize that you're not going to get everything that you want. But when you trust, what you're really saying is, God, although I don't know what the outcome is going to be. Mary and Martha didn't know at this moment what the outcome would be. All they knew was that their brother was dead. But it's choosing to trust God, even in the middle of difficulty. And I know that's hard. To trust God, even in the middle of your pain. To trust God, even though the very thing that you need today doesn't seem like it's ever going to come. Have you ever been in that place where you really needed something and it just felt like it was never going to come? I want to encourage you with this, that to find lasting happiness, it's choosing to trust God no matter what the circumstance or the situation is. I heard an older lady say this. She was diagnosed with cancer, and her grandson wasn't a believer, didn't believe in God, didn't believe in Jesus, but he was in the hospital room with her, and she kept her faith. She was still trusting in God, even though it looked like she was going to die. And so he looked at her and he said, Grandma, like, how can you still trust in God? Like, you have served him your entire life. You've been waiting for him to heal you. He hasn't healed you. How are you still holding on to your faith? And she said these words to him. She said, faith is not really faith until it's been tested. And it's so easy to have faith in God and to trust in God when everything's going right, but it's so much harder to trust in him when things aren't going right. So today I want to bring up a friend of mine. His name is Artie. He's on our team, and he's going to take a moment. He's going to talk to you about a moment in his life where he had to deal with waiting. And that at the beginning of that waiting journey, it was difficult and hard for him. But when he got to the place of trusting that God was in control, even though his circumstances were out of control, and even though he could not see the end, he chose to trust. And so I'm going to invite Artie up here, and then we're going to have a song, and then we're going to move into our next steps. And so we'll be back up here in a moment. Artie, I remember, I think it was like 7-8 months ago when we had a conversation about you joining our team.
Yep.
And just the heart, right, to have you with us. And so I'm just so excited that you're with us. I'm so excited that we get to go on this journey together. And when we are today talking about patience.
Oh, yeah. Patience.
And realizing that patience is less having to do with us and more having to do with God, right? It's a trust thing. And so I know we talked about this already, but maybe let us know of a time in your life where it was very difficult to be patient. And then we'll continue down that story.
Yeah, definitely. The first thing that comes to mind is 3 or 4 years ago now, I had just finished college. And I think that was the number one time I was probably the most impatient ever, probably since I was a kid. I had just finished up school, and I was so excited. My future was all in front of me, super bright, and I started applying to all these jobs. And
you got a bunch of callbacks.
No, I did not. I got no callbacks, no interviews, no nothing. And I was frustrated, and I was definitely impatient. And everyone in my class was getting all these jobs. They were posting it on Facebook, on Instagram, and I'm here sitting, I am going to be at home for the rest of my life.
And that's the hardest, especially like when you've done everything you need to do, but you're still waiting. It's like you got into school. You actually graduated, right? You know what you're full called to do, and yet you still are waiting for a job. What was that like for you?
Yeah, it was a complete character shift for me. I mean, right now sitting with you is someone that's super positive, super smiley, and always welcoming people and energetic. And that summer, I felt like I was just impatient, frustrated towards my family, my friends, didn't want to associate with anyone. I didn't like the way I looked. I didn't like the way I felt. And I made sure people knew about it. I was getting angry at people.
You weren't happy at all.
No, especially on the road, because I ended up driving for Uber for a little bit. And I didn't feel like myself. It was definitely a frustrating time. That's the word that keeps coming up for me when I think about it.
So when you think about that, and like even looking at where you're at today, and I know that could seem like a world away. Like, what was the difference? Like, what was the thing in your life when we got people who are waiting right now, maybe for a job. They're waiting for someone who's sick in their family to get well. They're waiting. Like, we're always in this state of waiting. And how did you get past it? Like, how did you find the energy and the passion and the drive, right, to continue on when it seemed like nothing was happening?
Yeah, you think it's so funny because you feel like you hit rock bottom, and then that's when God reaches and puts you back up on the highest mountain, right? And I felt like, for me, I really had to let go of it. I had to trust God 100% about something that I wanted to control, which was my future, right? Like Ray said, I did everything that I was supposed to do. I went through K through 12. I got good grades. I got involved. I did 50 billion things in college. And no one wanted to look at my resume, but it wasn't until I let go and trusted God when all of a sudden that week I get a text about a job at where? The college I just graduated from. But what was it?
You were trying to get out?
No one was trying to get out of. But what was amazing about it was it was in the field that I already had felt called to be in, which was in student life and working with students. And man, God moved in an unexpected way. And if I had just been extremely patient and just trusted him a lot sooner, I could have went through that summer much more relaxed. My parents probably would have loved me a little bit more.
I know what that's like. And I'd say to you, like, maybe right now you're in a waiting season. Maybe you're waiting for a husband or a wife. Maybe you're waiting for that job. Maybe like Artie, you're just graduating. You're just like, man, no one is calling me back. Or maybe you have a family and no one is calling you back. I want you to know that while you're waiting is really an act of trust where you say, God, I'm giving you control, right? Like I'm letting go and letting you do it. And so, man, one of the coolest songs I feel like when it comes to this is the song "So Will I," where the writer of the song is discussing like just the power and the vastness and how amazing God is. And so for the next few moments, we want to just encourage you, man, our worship team is going to come up. They're going to sing a song and then we're going to move into our next steps. But maybe you're in the middle of waiting. I want to encourage you that you're waiting and can become patience. And patience is truly just trusting in God. We'll be back up here in a moment.
Hey everybody, wherever you're at, whether you're on your couch or in your living room somewhere, we invite you to sing a song with us, and the words will be on the screen for you to sing along. So let's worship together.
Out of creation, there at the start.